Okay, the stream is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We are going to play Apocalypse Keys.
Apocalypse Keys.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the Keeper of Doors for tonight's session of Apocalypse Keys. Our players, Nobilis as John Deere,
Hi there.
Millie Katie as Lady Dana,
Hello.
David Archambault as Pandorum,
Well, I wonder what's down here.
and Paul Weimer as Ningle.
Tonight, witness the agents of division go from kaiju punching to investigating secret mysteries beneath the island, featuring me, Ningle.
We are currently short Jason Banks as Myron, but hopefully he will join us a little bit later into the session. But for now, let's discuss where we last left the monsters of Division. Having traveled to Island Zero, a mysterious top secret island that guards a rift in time and space beneath the ocean, where colossal titanic creatures emerge, threatening to do all sorts of damage and destruction, but can be held back only by Halamaw class monsters, which also come through the rift but are willing to psychically link with teenage human pilots in order to fight the more hostile monsters. It is a setup which has been animated many times over, but here it's real. But the monsters of Division have been tasked to come here and help because mysteriously one of the pilots and her Halamaw class monster showed signs of possession shortly before vanishing entirely, disappearing right out of their pods and the monster right out of its giant vat of amber liquid. Usually they don't do that. So, having traveled to this place in order to try to help solve the problem, you have explored the area a little bit. You checked out one of the pilots in the simulation bay, but didn't get a chance to talk to her very much because you ran into some trouble with one of the dead Rift class monsters coming back to life. In the meantime, you've also discovered that there is someone who has attempted sabotage at a certain point. There was a strange worm designed to erase all data and records associated with a certain pilot, which is unknown because all of the data about it has been erased. But that also seems to have caught some of the records about Luna's disappearance. You have also uncovered a hatch buried underneath the monster graveyard. And who was it that had that psychic impression? What was
That would have
That was
Marion.
Myron who
Myron?
Myron.
Yes.
who
Yes. He had managed to take psychically Luna's form and access her memories, and accessed a memory of her looking down through a similar hatch and seeing, apparently, dead clones of both her and her monster prior to her disappearance. So, when we last phased away, the site had lost power. They were desperately struggling to restore operation, but you had managed to defeat the strangely, mysteriously resurrected hot pink chimeric body that had emerged from the monster graveyard. And right now the doomsday clock is at 2 ticks out of 8. And things.
Yes.
And you have 4 keys.
There are 4 keys.
Yeah, Pandorum has just opened the hatch.
Yes. And we specifically did a Lost style cliffhanger as a result of the hatch.
And I think as part of opening, I have a move called a flickering hope, which
Okay.
means at the start of each session, I describe a memory of my people.
Oh, okay.
And I, all of this with the kaiju and everything brought to the surface one of Pandorans' past lives where he is a high priest of a uh, standing uh, standing in front of an altar on a cliff in front of the ocean and just chanting a plea to a great leviathan of the ocean to come and protect us and I he's been goes on for hours and right as he's about to falter a massive tentacle comes out and takes his body from the cliff.
Oh,
Oh,
And
holy
so,
crush, the Titans, Batman.
and so I'm going to roll. See what happens.
okay.
The tentacle comes out of that hatch.
Eight. I got a perfect hit.
Okay. So this is the name of this move is what's the
A
move?
flickering hope.
Flickering Hope.
A flickering hope.
Yes. So I think so. Part of the move says that you are supposed to choose to speak with love, sorrow, or both. Say what you hope for, and then roll. So you're supposed to do that. Like say what it is that you're hoping will happen.
Okay. Um. Uh.
Well, so
See.
like looking
Yes.
at what the results are, I mean, what the different options are depending on the role. You should be telling us how you're describing the memory, and are you speaking of that memory in context of love, sorrow, or both?
Sorrow, because he's that version of me was pleading to this great power for help
Okay.
and it's given nothing but destruction.
Okay. Well, so with a perfect hit, you are supposed to choose two from the list in the move.
So I will describe how a fellow monster reminds you of someone from your past. And let's see. John Deere is very much like that person's advisor. Wise, but very willing to say, I'll let you make your own mistakes. And also very connected with death.
Do we think so? Yeah. Do we think that that it's possible that this is actually another agent of capital D Death in the way that John Deere is now? Because Death has certainly been around a long time.
It could have been. It could have been a basically an undercover reaper.
So you gain a bond with John Deere, and then what else?
Describe the long overture of the apocalypse and how it claimed your people. I mean, I guess I'm not sure how that one would work, but basically uncover a key is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what you are. Yeah, there's some interesting nuance in this this move because it says at the start of each session. So when it says describe the long overture of the apocalypse and how it uncovered your people, claimed your people uncover a key, it is like how am I supposed to put into context? It sounds like this key is supposed to be you having an epiphany about this because of your knowledge of the long overture of the apocalypse, right? So it's not tied to something you are currently like doing or seeing. I think, let's see. Yeah, because like a lot of these moves, like they don't give me anything to work with related to the plot.
Okay. How
No,
about this?
okay.
Oh, I there's another part that allows me to give a get a bond with the darkness. With
Well, no,
darkness.
you don't have to change it.
Okay.
I mean, so how about this? I think that the epiphany you have is that that prior ritual that you remembered seems to have been an attempt in the past to open a rift like the one here. Now, that one seems to have perhaps opened only briefly and then closed again, perhaps, or did it? But it didn't, so the point being, the key is here that the idea of rifts like this one could not have come from this one happening. People had to have known about that or known the possibility of it before. And so technically the key from the list here is secret research to force more rifts to open around the world. And so I think, the epiphany you have is people have been trying to open rifts like this. It's not new. And you believe that that must be connected to what's happening here.
Okay.
Right.
Wow, that's
Is that a key? Do we add that to the chart, or is that
That's
just
a
background
key.
information?
Yeah, that's a key.
That's a key.
Woohoo!
You guys are actually on pretty good record right now as far as number of keys versus Doomsday Clock, but you guys have actually been rolling pretty well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who wants to add that one to the
you're adding it? Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So I think that it is you opening the hatch that sort of triggers that memory, just the act of opening it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
But what that also means is that that's the key that you get from the hatch, so to speak, right? Like, so
Hey,
we're not
I'm
going to
okay.
say, now
I'll
you
do
look
that.
down in there and immediately grasp keys from what you see inside, right?
Hey,
Like, so.
I mean, the end of session move says, "Did you uncover a key?" So I
Yes,
uncovered
you
a key.
and so, yes, you did. You uncovered a key. And so now, what is everyone else doing as Pandorum is opening up this hatch?
I'm slowly recovering from smashing this thing into paste and trying to get.
Yeah.
I told myself, although I have the condition obsessed, so that's not going quite as well as one might hope. I want to find Luna. I want to find out what's going on, and I'm just like trembling with the need to do that. So I'm kind of like standing on top of this thing, almost like conquering here on top of the dragon sort of approach at the moment.
Yeah. I am going to because I have a special I'm feeling a bit ignored
Okay.
because I got smashed up so bad. So I'm going to take some darkness tokens for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to kind of again, we've got this undead monster, and I forgot if I tried to analyze it last time or not, but that was
You didn't
something
get
I
a
wanted-
chance to, I think.
Yeah.
What you got was kind of from an initial assessment of it before it was defeated. You haven't like analyzed it since. It's pretty mushed now, but
Yeah.
what you got from it is a general sense that there is a lot of sort of spiritual, metaphysical energy associated with these monsters, and that energy is essentially how they exist on the other side of the rift.
Okay.
And they
right,
take
I
on
remember now.
physical form when they come through the rift.
Oh, wait, that's right.
Right. And so this wasn't a key, but it was context, right? And so
Yeah.
usually when they are defeated, there is something that must happen with that energy.
Right.
But it would seem that in this case, that was prevented. Whatever normally happens was stopped from happening, and that is what led to the monster reanimating. Like, usually
Yeah.
it wouldn't reanimate because something happens to it unknown. But
Right.
whatever that unknown is thing didn't happen this time, and it did reanimate, which raises the ominous possibility that they would all normally reanimate if not for blank.
Yeah. So something was
Something was
supposed to prevent it and didn't.
Yeah.
Hmm. And given all the troubles that they've had, all right, I'm going to go back. Who was the scientist that exists in several iterations?
I have
Yeah.
Rosario.
Yes, I'll put you on the people.
Kaio,
tab.
yes,
So the Kayas.
yes. I'm going to go and see if I can find a Kaya.
So I think I've got
To-
something before you go anywhere
Okay.
else. I'll have
Alright.
something to kind of interrupt. I just wanted to get a sense of where everybody was when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And-
was still inside the complex where I'd been smashed into a wall.
Yeah. Well, you had been rescued from being smashed by Lady Dana, but I think you
Yes.
still had not really managed
Moved from
to
there, yeah.
do much else yet.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe at the door.
All right. So we have Pandorum at the hatch. Myron and Ningle, I think, were both sort of struggling with the physicality of the creature itself. What about you, Lady Dana? I think you were at John Deere's side last we saw you.
Yep. I think I am going to like inspect the creature, and considering that my playbook is the hunger,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to try a piece
Well, sure.
just because.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's right there.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as it's very hard to poison myself. So,
But you have managed to.
yes,
but-
that would be the durian.
It's the
Um,
exception that proves the rule. So here's also another thing to consider is like normally speaking, you would want, I mean, when people ordinarily would eat the flesh of another animal, you want it to be fresh and not rotten. But here's the question. It's been reanimated and then killed a second time.
Yeah.
Does
is
that
it-
like refresh the freshness? Or is it still just as rotted?
Yeah, let's give that a try.
Sure.
Just be-
So
because it's
you're
me.
yeah. So what's the name of your move?
Oh, I wasn't thinking of a move so much as just
Well, you have
trying it.
Okay. Well,
Um,
I'll let you just try it if you want. But you do have a specific move that's basically about like I want to eat a thing.
Let's
Right?
see. Let me double check what I've got these days.
It's-
Let's see. Okay,
I mean, I think it's your main move, right? The gnawing edge of hunger. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
surrender to the hunger within you, describe how your body transforms
Oh,
and what
yeah.
you feed on.
That's my base thing. I haven't really used this one all that much. All right. So when you surrender to the hunger within you, describe how your body transforms and what you feed on, spend darkness tools and darkness tokens and roll. So I'm going to be aiming for the give into the euphoria of the feeling. That's gonna be my aiming one because just like like I'm balancing I'm trying to be good, but this is something that well, it's already dead. I can't exactly
Sure.
harm anyone in this process. Um, not like uh Kevin Keith.
Yeah.
The guy
um
from the other mystery.
yeah, the guy from the previous mystery. So let's see.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a straight roll. I'm not gonna try to
Okay.
add any
Sure.
tokens.
So what though is your like what does this look like physically as
Oh,
your
actually, this way. So I now have the weapons of flesh and bone.
mm-hmm.
So I'm going to actually the ends of my hair kind of calcify and sharpen into little blades and carve off like to and I approach and like start like carving off a little couple of pieces here and there and then like put the pieces on the edge like on the end like they're toothpicks as well and then pop it in my mouth and see what it's like.
All right.
Ooh,
Okay, with 11.
yeah, disastrous success.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
So, on an
Oh,
11
but
plus, your hunger grows deeper, edged with endless teeth as your humanity slips further away. You get to choose between the two options there.
okay, so it's ask the keeper what the harbinger within you screams for. Gain one bond with what the darkness demands of you. If you give in to the harbinger, clear one condition. Now, I don't have any conditions. Given to the worst of your hunger and go too far, inviting chaos and terror. Name a new fear you have and create or replace a hunger condition to reflect this. So no, this is also embodying that whole insatiable thing. I'm going to go too far, so someone may need to like snap me out of it. And I'm going to create a new hunger condition of well, I already have insatiable. So
Gluttonous.
yeah, I was thinking gluttony.
Gluttony.
So, for the record, plot stuff is going to happen too. Like, you
Well,
creating a
yeah.
hunger condition is like a good thing mechanically for you. So, right.
Yeah.
But I think, though,
Story wise, everyone else is going to go, what the fuck?
yeah. So, I think that there's just a moment of when you taste that, it's like well, you know, there's just all sorts of those. Cheez-Its is the example for me.
Yep.
I never crave a Cheez-It unless I have
Until-
just eaten one. At
Yep.
which point I want all of them. And so I think it's that kind of thing. You were curious and you were hungry, but once you have tasted the flesh of this thing, you
Yep.
are now cannot help yourself. You need more of it and more of it and more of it. And you are immediately like you are starting to like get, I think, bigger and you're expanding like your hair with these sort of bone
Yep.
teeth and shards on the end of it are sort of expanding in like a nimbus around you, and you're just
Mhm.
becoming a a lawnmower on this this body, and I think that Myron and Ningle,
Yeah.
who were kind of in the vicinity, you are finding, she is like, she is out of control. She, if you don't like get out of her way, she's gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off of where I've been pushing and trying to get this thing away from the base, like, and I'm gonna try to manhandle this increasingly large Lady Dana from her endless feast.
Oh, you're gonna try to stop her?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
try to stop her.
All right.
Okay.
So
Hey,
tell me how you.
another person that does it.
Yeah.
That I'm just going to use brute strength and basically physically pull her away from the buffet table, as it were.
Okay. Okay. Well, so let's see. That's probably gonna be. Let's just do a standard Unleash the Dark.
Uh, um. Okay, first I get 3 darkness tokens because I am using violence here. And now we will unleash the dark. Where is it? There we are. Let's try.
Okay.
That's a
You've
disastrous
gotten a
success.
disastrous success as well. So, Unleash the Dark on an 11 plus, your control falters and you go too far. You're going to choose one of the items from the success list, but there will be an unintended consequence.
I'm gonna get what I want from them, and that is to pull them away from this buffet and get them from where they are eating. So
Okay.
I will take that.
All right. Well, so I think the straightforward way for this to happen would be that the unintended consequence is that you have gone too far and you have inflicted a condition on Lady Dana.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but I think that what this, I want you to paint a little scene picture for me of describe Ningle forcibly pulling Lady Dana away from this buffet, and yet having to be sufficiently violent that he actually does hurt you, and in a way that you can describe how that happens and what's the result.
I'm kind of imagining go with me here, Mildred. That
Yep.
you're kind of almost like the Blob a bit at the moment, as in the Marvel
Yeah.
character, and to actually move the Blob is difficult, if sometimes almost nigh impossible. But since I have super strength, I manage it, but only at the point of basically flinging you up to the air and having you land some distance away on your face, basically overcoming your superhuman resistance to being moved by being the unstoppable force, and that causes you physical agony and pain as you wind
Right.
up becoming a projectile. What do you think?
Yeah, and one of my available, and that is going to piss me the hell off. And I'll take raging.
Okay.
And let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what exactly I would do.
Yes.
So I feel like this is the equivalent of you have just discovered your new favorite food at the buffet,
Yeah,
and then your friend just literally tackled you across the room.
Yeah. So first it's going to be, what the hell? Why did you just stop me? And
Mhm.
oh, let's
Uh-oh.
see. What did I do? What did I take?
Do you have a
I'll
new
for-
move?
Oh, no. Okay. I'm going to see about trying to bring myself under control.
Okay.
Because my impulse today is offering kindness, aka
Ah.
not kicking your ass from here to eternity and back at a
Mhm.
great cost to myself.
Well, so you know there's a move called torn between.
Oh, torn between, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
When you are torn
Um,
between your monstrous nature and your human heart, or when you are tempted by what the darkness demands of you,
yeah,
you
so
choose one of those
choose.
three things.
All right. I am going to um I am going to take a deep breath and just tamp everything down and lose all my darkness tokens.
Okay.
And it's like, you are so lucky I decided that you're not on the menu today. Now, let me go back to my snack. But in the meantime, I have like actually diminished and
Mhm.
gone back to normal size, although the ends of my hair are still little bony toothpicks.
We have better things to do than eating. We have a mystery to solve, a missing kaiju, and a missing pilot. I cross my arms.
I'm going to suggest that we have an insert shot of when the two of you were grappling, flying across the room. We will cut to Pandorum having just started to open the hatch, suddenly getting the epiphany and going, just as the two of them fly across and re-slam the door to
Yeah,
the hatch.
I'm dealing with this right now.
So I think as any other discussion might have been prepared to continue, there will be a message coming across on the intercom and saying, "Monsters of Division, we see that you have discovered something. We would ask you not to pursue it at the moment. We will tell you what's inside, but we need to discuss it in a controlled setting."
So I look around and I take into account we've got that asshole Ningle right in front of me. Um, I know just about where John Deere was when my snack started. I know where's Pandorum? I assume that,
Right here.
and I'm guessing the hatch lifts up just so tiny bit.
Well, so I was imagining
No,
that
I was
hadn't gone
next.
inside, was standing next to it, and it's like slammed
Right.
back
Gotcha.
closed.
And Pandora's going to open up and look.
Okay. Um, so I think
Not
as
gonna
you
go
do,
in. Not gonna go in,
okay.
but look.
Well, so I'm absolutely not stopping you, but what the voice does say when you're doing that. So does that give you any pause, or you're looking anyway?
Oh, I'm looking.
Okay.
I'm looking. I'm
Yeah. What you see down down that hatch looks like almost another version of the big hangar where the Halama monsters sort of rest in their vats of liquid and the pilots have their pods. But this the coloration of the liquid is different and nothing is moving, everything is still. And you immediately just intuit here, these are dead Halama. And there are pods that look less like a pod that a pilot would get in and out of and more like
Great.
a fancy sarcophagus sort of deal. And several of the Halamas in there, I think just looking down the hatch, you're not seeing a whole lot of detail, but it is notable when you're standing in the middle of what is obviously a graveyard where they are allowing these giant creatures to decompose and trying to accelerate that process, that underneath it, there is an area where dead things are being carefully preserved instead. And the voice comes on the intercom again. This is the scientist's voice. Kaya, hang on, I'm trying to move my window. Yeah, Kaya just kind of says, "Please, we are setting up a briefing room. We can talk about what's down there, but please do not speak of it until that room, if you please. We will tell you what's inside and why it's there." But we need to have that information maintain a controlled status.
Oh.
You will understand when we talk about it, but that is why we can't just let you explore without us having a briefing about it first, please.
Yeah, Pandorum is going to close the hatch. Get the wheel spin to lock it, and say, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And gonna take some darkness for reacting with outer confusion.
Sure. I think Myron probably just kind of, moseys over and looks at the closed hatch and says, "Oh yeah, I know what that is."
I would say I wish you would have told me earlier, except I don't think there was an opportunity. Let's go get some answers.
So, as you are making your your way back to the into the main center, like outside of this, back into the main facility, you see that they don't yet even have emergency power backup, but what they do have are like lights that they have brought in and set at intersections of the hallways that seem to have been connected to little battery packs there. And as you are making your way, you are directed to a dark conference room that they are in the process of setting up some of those lights in there too. And inside you see is Fletcher Payne and two of the Kaya Rosarios. Which, if people don't remember, her whole thing is that copies of her keep coming out of the rift, and they just put them all to work because they all seem talented and eager to help. And so, everyone's just coming on in and settling down for the presentation.
Yeah.
Pandorum is going to look at Fletcher Payne. His face has gone back to more normal.
Okay.
And says, "What on earth is going on here?"
Well, that is what we have brought you here to discuss. What on earth is a complicated question there, because all sorts of things happen on Earth as it happens. But what we have in that hatch is a critical part of this operation, and it is a representation of us doing our best to save the world. But it has complicated implications, which is why we wanted you to discuss it with us here, because the short version is that as talented as our pilots are, and as fierce as their Halima are, we are up against a number of extremely powerful Rift-class monsters, And the truth is, the pilots don't always survive. But we have, through the technology available to us here, means by which we can transfer their psychic consciousness into clones of themselves to keep fighting.
Do they know about this?
They don't. We believe that they are already dealing with quite a bit emotionally, and we cannot risk their state of mind. They are too important for the safety of the world. When they have experienced this, they are simply told that they were knocked unconscious during the battle and have been brought back to the infirmary, and not that they were killed. They don't remember the process, but they do remember everything up to that last battle.
So the psyche is not a copy, just transferred into a new vessel?
The process of the psychic connection between the pilot and the Halamaw creates a unique psychic entity that can be preserved and used to reanimate the unliving cloned copies. And so it is our understanding, and he glances at Kaya, who nods, that it is in fact what you could potentially call the souls of both Pilot and Halamaw, restored in a new copy of the body. Now, let me be clear. This has always been part of the program. I went through it myself.
Times.
Well, that is where it does get tricky. I think you have already been briefed that pilots tend to have a limited period in which they can be active as pilots, at which point they start losing their psychic connections and they start experiencing various mutations. This is not, in fact, simple proximity to the rift, but a result of multiple cloning iterations.
So are you saying if a pilot didn't die in a battle, if they had never actually used the clone, they could continue to do so indefinitely? Is that it
Or are the mutations?
It's-
or the mutations?
We have always found that above a certain age, no one is able to psychically connect to the Halamaw. And
Okay.
so we believe would be true, that even if the pilots did not die, did not fall in battle, and did not need to be cloned, that they would eventually lose their ability to connect with the Halamaw.
Hmm.
However, it is a sad fact that that has never happened, because the
They
defeat
always
in
die
battle
first.
and the
Yeah.
resurrection has always been necessary.
John Deere is, as he often is, fiddling on his tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not common for him to send a message to death
Kind of a. Did you know
rather
about
than her
this?
send it.
Boss, hey boss.
Because this is precisely the kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
that John is commonly sent out to stop.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of cheating death
Yeah.
sort of thing. There's medicine to prevent someone from dying in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
There's clinically dead, but you can come back from that with appropriate medical science. And then there's building you a whole new body.
Mm-hmm.
And channeling souls in directions that they don't ordinarily go.
Mm-hmm.
So John is like, okay, normally in the course of my normal duties when I'm not attached to division, this would be all right against the wall.
Mm,
This is my domain here, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actually in that capacity right now, and I um I'm I am basically looking for permission from death not to pull out my badge and start
Mm-hmm.
and start making trouble, because I really because clearly this program needs to exist, and so this is so I'm actually thinking that uh, uh, that a move might be in order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I'm looking at Death Walked here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because
So a death walk here is a little bit more like about trying to find out more information about something that happened, which you're kind of just
right,
being told right up front.
yeah. But I'm thinking that my connection to death might um, provide some insights.
Okay. I don't know that you necessarily need to do a move here,
All right.
but the idea is you're just kind of exchanging like you're in a text
Yeah.
thread with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like my jurisdiction is a little ambiguous, and I want some
Mhm.
clarification from the boss
Yeah.
as to how I'm supposed to handle this situation.
Mhm.
Um, uh, so, I mean, if she says, um, yeah, they've got a special dispensation for this. Don't
Mhm.
worry about it. Or finish your work for the division, and we'll come back to this later.
Yeah.
Or any number of things that she might say,
Mhm.
because I don't want to you
Yeah.
know and I think and reporting it seems like the bare minimum of what I should do.
Sure. Sure. And I think that you know, uh, while you're kind of exchanging this, I think there is a little bit of a follow up from Fletcher, who's just saying is like, now listen, I wouldn't expect any of you to just be able to immediately understand and absorb this plan and be okay with it. I can't pretend to be entirely okay with it myself, except that the question becomes, which is worse, doing this or allowing dozens, hundreds, thousands of those Rift class monsters free reign of the earth. I know which one I pick. But in the meantime, John Deere, I think you get a reply. I think that there are several times where you get the dot dot dot, and then it'll go away. Dot dot dot, go away, and then there's a reply of, I know you don't like these, but it's kind of a gray area.
oh,
Look at my character art and
Yes,
tell me
exactly.
how much
Yeah,
goddamn
uh-huh,
it's
uh-huh.
gonna
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly the joke. So the additional reply is, I have a feeling there's something even bigger going on that is more of a
Yeah,
problem. See if you can find out what that is before you muddy the water.
gotcha. Um,
With Luna disappearing like she did.
okay, does John know at this point
Mhm.
that there's been research about opening rifts. I don't think he
Um,
does.
Pandorum has not mentioned anything about
Okay.
it.
All right. All right.
Okay.
So it sounds like, John, I'm saying as a player
mhm,
that we need to have an information sharing session
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
away from these guys.
I mean,
So
well, away from these guys is like if you want to do it separately, then like so. I was just going to say, right now you're all in a conference room
Yeah.
with them there, and so basically what they're just saying is like so we've been frank with you about what's down in that hatch, and I think the thing that we would ask of you in return is that you not share this information with our pilots.
So besides you and the the Kayas, who knows? And us now, who knows?
There's a very limited subset of site personnel, and Selena Nakahara also knows, as she is part
I
of the
I was
religious
especially thinking
occult
of her. Okay.
aspect. So she was also aware. It is, in fact, she is part of the organization that allows the transference to take place.
Okay.
So
Well, with
how
the
is that now that, okay, you've got a way of transferring the souls into other bodies and such? How is it that you haven't been able to do that with Luna and just yank her back?
Well, she didn't die; she disappeared, and if her psychic entity had been available to be placed in a new copy, then we would have, but it's not. Something else has happened here, not least evidenced by the fact that her body and Hydra Omicron's body physically disappeared right out of the vat. That's not usually how it works, just to be clear.
Okay.
uh, I know that over centuries and millennia, rifts that like the one that these creatures come through have been researched, have been tried, how people have tried to make them in the past. Have your organization, been doing anything of that sort? Trying to make a new rift?
Well, we certainly study the rift and we want to know how it opened, but because our principal interest would be to close it if we could.
I know. I imagine that some people would suggest open a rift to learn how to close it.
Well, in this case, we do know that there was an enormous creature on the ocean floor in the heart of an inactive volcano. This should have been in your briefing material.
Yes.
It was being studied, and alas, during the experimentation, it awoke and screamed, and that tore open the rift we have here. Certainly, there are you know, myths, legends, some historical records of attempts to create portals to other realms of existence, but to my knowledge, there is nothing now or in the past that matches what we have here. If such a thing ever existed, we do not have record of it. But it does not surprise me in the least that others might see this possibility, and I can only imagine what someone thinks they might be able to use it for. Obviously, the one that we have is an enormous amount of trouble. Let me be clear, is that if I could lay my life down right now and close that rift, I would do it in a heartbeat. I have no interest in opening others.
That may use the rift as a way to attempt to call for help
What do you mean?
or a power greater than themselves to save them.
Hmm.
That is the perspective I am most familiar with.
Hmm.
That request, by the way, was answered with my own death at that time.
You seem like you got better.
I have lived several lives since then.
All right. Well, so I guess, and he kind of looks at Kaya and kind of just says, "It seems like you're asking us to speculate on the hypothetical possibility that other people might be researching rifts." The answer I would say is, yeah, maybe.
What else did the rest of you find?
We're going to have this discussion here and now.
Might as well.
As well?
I did
It's
talk.
tasty.
I shoot a glare at Lady Dana.
Well, it is.
I had a discussion with Celine about her missing sister, and we engaged in an esoteric ritual to try to find out more. I turned my eyes on Fletcher. Now, given what we've found and what you've told us, and what psychic impressions Celine and I find, I think Luna was starting to suspect the truth, Fletcher. She's she had fears. She had insecurities. She couldn't understand what was going on. I have a feeling that the mind wipe, as it were, that you do for pilots upon their re-embodiment may not be as perfect as you think it is. And may or just because Luna, being the sister of a very powerful sorceress, might have might have gained the ability to start to remember things, and that might be what broke her
Hmm.
and may have led to somehow what's her disappearance along with her Halimar.
Well, we've not had any evidence of this before.
How many other sisters of Celine are there? There aren't. I think her sisterhood and her potentially untapped latent abilities may have causes. I want to talk to Celine more now in the wake of what you've said, but that is my suspicion, is that Luna was starting to wake up.
Did Selena
And
have these suspicions before Luna's disappearance?
no, I didn't have enough information before this conversation to probe that with her. I do want to talk with her about that now and that possibility. This is what I'm thinking based on the information you've just given us, what's underneath that hatch and what I experienced with Celine.
Well, so I obviously we are still at a loss as to far as to this disappearance. So we don't want to deny you any resources or any access that you need. However, reason for this briefing was to just ask you to share this particular detail from the other pilots. However, if you still need to interview the other pilots, we can make them available to you. There is also their handler.
Does their
And
handler
oh,
know about it?
Sorry, say again.
Does their handler know?
That's a good question.
Their handler does know, and I know that she is, like I am, troubled by it, but it's still a question of what's best for the pilots. They go into these missions knowing that it could end in their death, and we attempt to forestall that as much as we can. And in a sense, this transference does prevent it. It is a loss of the physicality they had before, but a restoration of an identical one. It's in some ways very fancy organ transplant.
Nearly identical.
Pick up the radiator cap, drive a new car under it, plunk it down, and call it the same car.
The clone
Look
of
like the ship of
Theseus.
Theseus.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We all went right there.
Mhm. Mm. After all, what is a pilot but a soul persevering? um,
Hmm.
so yes, as you know, as far as key personnel, you've spoken to Celine and to Kaya to some extent, and myself, but we have our 3 other active pilots and their handler, Natasha. I know you went to speak with Malika. Did you manage to get anything out of her before the lockdown?
No, we barely got to see her outside of the simulation she was in.
All right. Well, we are in the process of rebooting all the systems here after that strange electrical phenomena. But I believe we should be able to get things more or less on an even keel in the next couple of hours. And so, in the meantime, our pilots are not busy. Would you want to speak with them individually, in groups?
Before we do that, John, what did you discover, if anything?
And how you doing, John?
I'm all right for now. Thank you. I discovered that they're not just there's not just strange things going on with the souls of the Halama and their pilots. There's also something strange going on with the spiritual entities of the energies of the monsters that are coming through. In that these are embodied spirits. Their bodies are manifestations of spiritual energy that exists on the other side of the rift. So when they quote unquote die, that energy has to go somewhere. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys is, what do you know about something that is preventing that spiritual energy from resurrecting, being re-embodied again anyways?
There is a tremendous discharge of energy resulting from the death of any Rift class monster, and we do have the capacity at this facility to harness some of it for our purposes of running the base, etc. It's psychically converted into electrical power for the facility. I don't know why that would have failed in the instance of this
Well,
zombie kaiju.
Well, you said some of it is converted. What happens to the rest?
Well, there's and I think Kaya jumps in as well. No, the efficiency of any energy transference and transformation is never perfect. There's always going to be some loss.
Right, but where does that loss go? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed.
some spiritual version of entropy, of heat
Right.
dispersion.
But
Yes.
my thinking is that is this area so high in energy that energy somehow got concentrated into that undead Night of the Living Dead kaiju I just killed?
Well, we've never seen anything like that happen before. Our understanding had been that some of the energy is essentially lost to usable purpose, dissipating out into the world in ways that cannot be harnessed. But if that energy is lingering in a way that could cause such a thing as we saw today, then that would be the first time that that has happened. But I would be happy to have a couple of my copies start looking into it.
Well, this island is heavily shielded esoterically from
Yes.
for a number of reasons. Is it possible that energy is not dissipating out into the greater world? Is that energy is the background energy of this island been increasing over time?
So the two Kayas immediately
Oh
start
my
speaking to each other so quickly and so full of technobabble that I think it's impossible for anyone else to follow for a minute. But after a couple of minutes of this, they both turn to you and say, "Yes, that's possible."
that would not be good if that's what's happening.
No,
There would be all sorts of bad knock-on effects, possibly including kaiju being resurrected.
we had enough trouble killing them the first time.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And what if that is related to our door of power?
Mm,
I
Yeah, you-
I would like to grasp keys.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I think we're all moving towards
Yeah.
it. John Deere gets first. Ibs.
Oh, wrong place. Grasping keys. There it is.
Okay,
9,
look,
perfect hit.
perfect hit.
Nice.
You uncover a
Yay!
key. The keeper will tell you what it is. All right, let's see. What do we got here? What do we got? I'm looking at the.
Well, you're looking. I would like to point out both John and Dana had keys that they uncovered that haven't been shared yet.
Oh,
What?
as for I mean,
So no, well, the one I had was background. It wasn't a key.
well,
The-
you had one from the worm in the system that you had uncovered the first session.
Yeah.
That there was
Yeah.
erasing. I think that hadn't necessarily been shared with the group. Either.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it has not.
Yeah, so like
Okay,
in canon, like in the story. So
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
so we can I'll be thinking about the key real quick if you guys want to like discuss that part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just tell everybody that the sabotage that we've seen is includes a malware in the system that erased the presence of a previous pilot, and that Luna's disappearance was covered up by that worm as well. So it's with this new revelation about reincarnated pilots, I'm wondering if that might have been a previous version of Luna.
And also, I might think that might have been a way to cover up the initial, the events leading to each resurrection. At least that might have been its intended purpose, and something caused it to change
To mutate,
and mutate.
Or someone
or
altered
something
it.
mutated it for new purposes.
And so I think this was discussed when it was originally came up, but like I think Fletcher and Kaya would reiterate right now that we're not denying that you found presence of this worm in the system, but I don't know what it could have possibly be erased because the roster that remains in the system right now matches what we remember as far as what pilots there have been since then. It's not a huge number. So I can't understand what could have been erased.
With this, if we were to discover that your memories had been tampered with, it wouldn't be the first time that we've encountered that.
No.
No.
Certainly an alarming prospect.
Well, tell me about it. I'm missing huge
Yeah.
chunks.
So I think the key in this case is actually pretty simple and straightforward. One of the
Mhm.
keys from the list is power from the rifts harnessed and the corruption that bleeds from it. So that's kind of really kind of what we were just discussing anyway, the idea that this energy is being sort of collected and used, but that not all of it is.
Right.
Yeah. And so what that just means is that that is also a key that is, goes into the list of how many
Mhm.
keys you have, and
Yep,
also
yep.
what um, could have been uh, connected, like as far as how that might be, connected to the mysteries and the facets and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah. So certainly, we can have our science team as soon as we get the labs back up and running. We can try to determine what, if anything, we can detect about the accumulation of this, lost energy. But we don't have any definitive answers for you right now. What else can we do to help in the meantime?
And does Lady Dana share about the sabotage?
Yeah, I'll mention that the pods were sabotaged, so it's someone is actively trying to cause stuff to happen. This isn't just like bleed over.
Someone's taking advantage of the events to accelerate their own plan.
Right.
So one could assume that or one could guess at least that uh, that the containment that I captured the energy the from the rift monster that was just reincarnated could be another point of sabotage from that.
I think Kaya says, well, also now that we've just talked about this whole clone program, I can further share that the piece that was sabotaged in Luna's pod is part of the system that allows us to do that.
Oh,
Oh.
oh boy.
So uh, if she had not disappeared and had fallen in that battle, that would have been the end of her.
Yes. To be clear, we do sometimes lose pilots in an unrecoverable way. The system is not perfect. Sometimes we're not able to fully capture them, but we do when we can. But the system that allows us to do it when we can is part of what was apparently sabotaged on Luna's pod.
I think we do need to speak with the other pilots just to get some clear understandings, and not when they are in a combat simulation that they would be very disagreeable being interrupted
Mm.
in.
Kaya kind of says, well, I think you might find that Malika is disagreeable no matter what you're doing.
Well,
She's a great fighter, though. I mean, I don't mean to speak ill of her, but just as a personality type, she looks to the other Kaya, and the other Kaya offers combative. Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
combative. That's a good word.
that's why I imagine it's much, much easier to manage when she is not currently feeling like her life is being threatened.
Well, maybe.
Or maybe not. But anyway, I think we should head to the.
So, do you want to speak with the pilots as a group or individually?
I think we should probably. It might be a good idea in meta as to keep Christiana's mind better to meet with them individually.
Hmm.
Perhaps we should split up and interview each of us interview different pilots.
Well, there's also recall that there are 3 pilots and the pilot's handler, so we could have each of you.
Yeah, that's true. We can
do
we
one.
can split. We can split. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes sense.
actually, I was going to leave that to you guys because I've got something else I want to look into.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, perhaps all of us should speak with the handler and then
Mhm.
split
And
split off
then
to meet the pilots.
John go off on his thing, and each of us speak to a pilot. And
Wow.
And I'm gonna suggest that as far as these interviews are concerned, especially because we're splitting up, we're not gonna do a grasp keys for each one individually, but we can
Mhm.
potentially do a grasp keys when you can reconvene about it.
Okay.
Okay.
But all 3 of us meet with Natasha and then go split off for the different pilots.
Or however you want to handle it.
I like that idea at least.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, you want to speak with Natasha Zamora first?
Yes.
So, you are brought in, or I guess they have her report here to you. That seems more straightforward. While Fletcher and the Kayas have gone off to continue trying to get the facility back up. So she shows up. You know, she got a old leather jacket worn over kind of a uniform coverall. She's got sort of like psionic implants in her eyes, slick back hair. You can see the image here. She looks like she could be tough, but is mostly doesn't enjoy that and would rather be nice. You know, that sort of person. Um, and so she shows up and just says, "Well, it's about time. I would have thought you'd come to me sooner."
We did have an emergency,
Well,
but we are glad for you. Glad to talk to you now.
welcome to Island Zero.
Hmm. Yes, I imagine emergencies are not unheard of.
Pretty common around here, although I have to say, one of the old ones coming back to life, that's new. That's a new one.
It's never happened. How long have you been basically as the keeper of the pilots?
Well, I've been doing this for about 10 years now. I came into the program as a potential pilot, but wasn't ever able to connect with any of the Halama. But the organizations thought I had some, a good leadership potential. I was good with people, and thought that I would be able to act as sort of a liaison and help work with the teen pilots to try to keep them in good shape, not physically, well, physically also, but keep them in a shape where they can actually go out and do what needs to happen. It's a tough thing for these kids to be sitting in that pod, opening their minds up to this incredible colossal beast and go off and fight other beasts, and it's a lot to ask of them, and if we had any other way to do it, we would. So I'm here to try to help make it as easy for them as it can be.
Have you noticed any unusual behavior amongst the pilots, specifically Luna, because obviously she is the main reason we are here?
Yeah, Luna was always pretty cool, like she had an air about her, like she had everything handled, and that was difficult to penetrate sometimes. Like, I know that it had to be at least partly an act, but it was really hard to tell which parts were acting and which parts were real sometimes with her. She was, never one of the pilots who gave me a lot of trouble. Like, some of the kids will act out, either lashing out, verbally, or just causing trouble or disobeying orders. And Luna was really always kind of right down the line as far as that stuff was concerned. But that said, this, like I said, this would be hard on anybody, and some people are just really good at hiding what they're feeling inside, and so I can't help but feel that I must have missed something. I don't understand how this could have happened. I'm used to the kids having a breakdown during a fight and needing to be comforted, or having to read the riot act to someone who's disobeying orders and being disrespectful to the site staff or something, but I've never seen anything like this before.
When do you believe that Luna would have found out what's below the hatch?
Well, I mean, it's news to me that she found out. How do you know that?
Our colleague Myron gained psychic insight into her memories.
And that let him see that she knew?
He saw Luna seeing a dead version of herself and her Helima through her eyes.
Huh. I feel like if that's how you found out, I would be surprised that Selena didn't know. Or maybe she did know and she didn't want to tell me either for some reason. But I mean, Selena's the one, like, she was Luna's sister and the big one with all the psychic stuff. So if Luna found out, it must have been. I mean, like I said, she didn't really obviously dramatically change her behavior. She was out on, let's see, like 6 other missions in the 6 months prior to her disappearance.
Mhm.
I guess I don't know. I guess she did maybe seem a little spooked after that last one, but I in a way that I thought was straightforward, just because it had been a tough fight. I wouldn't have attributed anything else to it.
Lady Dana here found evidence of sabotage of Luna's pods, which would mean that if she had fallen in that battle, she would not have been able to be resurrected.
That's that's terrifying to me, because we have so many people who work at this facility and we depend on them, the technology and the magic that goes into this whole program. There are so many people that contribute to everything that needs to happen here for this project to work at all. And so the idea that any one of them could be untrustworthy and trying to cause damage or result in the death of the pilots, it's a horrifying prospect. And you better believe that if I knew anything about anyone who would do anything like that, they'd hear my disapproval and I would immediately report it. This is, like I said, we have a lot of people that work at this facility, and we need everyone to be doing their jobs properly. And so that anyone, it's hard enough to trust all of these people when you have no evidence that any of them are doing anything wrong, and you're just worried about incompetence or inattention. The idea of deliberate sabotage, I just, The people who work here, they see what we're up against. Why would anyone want to interfere with that? I just don't understand it.
How many pilots are there?
Well, I mean, in active pilots right now, there's 3 remaining. There were 4 when Luna was here.
And how would one slip through the cracks?
I mean, I did just explain how many people work at this facility, and it's hundreds of people all supporting a very small number of teenage pilots who are very carefully selected and have extraordinary abilities, plus a giant monster. I don't know how a pilot could slip through the cracks. It's impossible. I mean, I just sort of feel like you notice giant you notice giant monsters, and I'm I guess just remembering how Luna and Hydra Omicron just disappeared right out of their vats. But I mean, we still remember her though. I don't know how it could happen.
Have you noticed any other signs of any of the other 3 pilots catching on as Luna has?
We are pretty careful to keep that information very controlled. I understand this was explained to you why, and I would ask you just to think of yourself. And she kind of looks around the room as she kind of trails off, as an ordinary teen. Well, okay, maybe that's a bad example. The pilots we have here are under tremendous strain, pressure that I don't think would be easy to handle for any human, much less humans who are going through the process of learning who they are, and changes to their bodies and changes to their brains. And it's a fragile setup. And as I mentioned, if we had the ability to do it with an adult who was better able to deal with those pressures, then we would. But the teens seem to be the only ones who can connect to the Halamaw. And this would just be another huge weight on top of everything that they are already carrying. The way that I've kind of tried to come to peace with it is just the idea that they know they are volunteering for a fight that could and lead to their deaths. They have come to peace with that. They have volunteered knowing that. And we do our best to forestall a permanent death to the extent that we can. And I'm told by the Kayas that it's there's a consciousness that is maintained, that it is the same. It's not just a duplicate. It's the same person. So it's a little alarming. It has implications that would be difficult to process for anyone, much less kids under this amount of pressure already. And as I mentioned, if we had any other way to fight these monsters, we would.
I am not doubting, Ningle says, that you're in a desperate situation here, and you need to grasp whatever tools you have at hand. It occurs to me, however, even being 3,000 years older than these kids, that that withholding from them the fact that they're being resurrected again and again is, to be charitable, I give a glance over John Deere, problematic.
I think John Deere's not here. He went.
Yeah,
He went to
Oh,
go
I
do
thought
something
that was
else.
the forest. Okay. That our friend John Deere would say is problematic. I'm wondering if there isn't, and no matter what the Kai is saying, if there isn't something going on with this soul transfer to the clones that is not as perfect as you think it is.
I guess I understand what you're saying, but I'm just would reply, what's the alternative?
I'm not, you, and Nigo stops and frowns at him. He doesn't have anything at the moment and frustrated by that fact.
Do we want to take a moment there then and find out where John Deere has gone off to?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good cut.
Yeah.
I want to do once they've got the systems up and running again, and I will assist with that until that happens,
Sure.
is that I want to review the research on the nature of the rift and how it might be closed.
Okay.
And I'm specifically looking for any kind of evidence I can find that anyone is delaying, inhibiting, or twisting that research.
Okay.
Because ultimately, this is a holding action.
Yeah.
The rift needs to be closed at some point, and I want to basically see, that's what I'm looking for.
Sure. Certainly the the stated principle, as Fletcher was saying earlier, is if we could close the rift, we would absolutely do so. We don't know how. We would like to study the rift in order to try to figure out how to close it, and that's the stated principle. But you're right that if there is someone who is secretly sabotaging that effort, but let's
that would be like parsimonious with the other things we've discovered.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just trying to clarify where all that stands. Let's actually have you do a standard Unleash the Dark move for your attempt to help them get their systems back up and running.
All right. Let me. I am going to do so with cold reason and logic. Just matter of fact, in spite of the fact that I've got deep suspicions about this whole operation, I'm going to keep that all tamped down and there's so many moves here. I'm having trouble. There it is. Found it. So I'll spend 2 tokens and
Okay,
10.
perfect hit. Yeah, so you have 2 of the two of those things, but I think this in this case it was really more about just you get the result that you were looking for.
I get what I want from them.
Yeah. So I think we don't have to really go through and choose 2 necessarily. We can say this was to help them get the systems back.
Right. But I think I would also like to expose a weakness or flaw.
Okay.
And basically, that is like in the course of helping them get this all set up, I've got kind of a backdoor, and access.
How about this?
And a way to access this information without them knowing I'm doing it.
See, I think my instinctive default to that I would have assumed you would pick is get what you want and avoid reprisals, harm, or cost, right?
Right, that would be the default, but I'm willing to take reprisals, harm, or cost if I can have a secret backdoor.
Well, you absolutely can. That is the whole principle of the choice. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you have, as a matter of getting their systems booted back up, you have gained sort of a backdoor into their computer systems. But I'm going to say that the reprisals, harm, or cost in this context is that I'm going to take the doomsday clock again.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, we're in good shape. We got more keys than
Yeah.
chips, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
I
you've
think there's a natural. Oh no 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 no.
yeah, because you're at six keys and only 2 ticks, now 3.
Yeah.
So
So
um
yeah, that's
yeah. So let me go ahead and move that forward. And so what I'm gonna say is you have unleashed that sort of uh, you've got the power back up, you've got the system sort of functioning again, but you've also got your backdoor into the system. And then everyone else, I think, while you're interviewing, the lights suddenly come on. Um, but
you hear John Deere's voiceover. You're welcome.
yeah, yeah.
What can I say except
um, so I think that yeah. Okay, so I think what happens here is that everyone's joy when the computers come back up is interrupted when they come back up with perimeter alarms going, saying that there is right now enormous rift activity of the type that often precedes a monster coming out. But there does not seem to be a monster coming out right now. However, sensors all over the island are registering anomalous readings. Like they're giving all sorts of strange, impossible data. Like one sensor is saying, well, the electromagnetic spectrum waves at this point are incredibly high, but the sensor that's like 3 feet away doesn't say that. And it says instead that the temperature is 25 below zero. And all of the electronic sensors are giving like strange information. But as far as you can tell, this seems to be something happening at the sensors, not a problem with the receiving computer. And a lot of the cameras on various parts of the island, where you recall there's all sorts of sort of non-world threatening weird monster creatures, um, are cameras are picking up strange variants of those, even beyond what had already been there, indicating that there are new sudden mutations that seem to be happening moment by moment on all over the island right now. So I think the rest of you see the lights come back on, and as soon as they're on, after a few seconds, they start flashing red again. And
never rains.
yeah, but I think right now, they say that pilots need to be on standby they're monitoring the rift for the possibility that a rift class monster is coming out. But right now, it seems to be, this is the pre-migraine symptoms.
Gotcha.
It's like it's doing a lot of strangeness that usually precedes a monster coming out, but there's no sign of a monster yet.
well, we should probably arrange to have the probably get our interviews with the pilots.
Yeah.
They're probably heading to battle stations.
Well,
Yeah.
so I think what Natasha would say is they are going to be getting into their flight suits and everything, but they will be in the ready room, but they won't go to get in their pods until the actual call is made. So you could still potentially go and talk to them there if they don't get called away immediately.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
what
So back with John Deere, as things are booting back up, you've wanted to look through your system for any evidence that someone is sabotaging, or
Yeah,
interfering.
yeah,
So
I'm
tell me how you would be doing that. Other like it doesn't have to be like a special move just for this necessarily, but I kind of want to understand what it is you're doing that they would not have already found knowing their systems.
um okay. Speaking, I'm going to take a little like personal uh, approach here. My day job is a software tester.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
3 developers can work together on a project, think that it's perfect, and another set of eyes comes in and goes, well, what about
Well,
this?
Mm-hmm.
And they go like, oh, yeah. So John is taking just another set of eyes on this, looking for gaps. And but see, the thing is that the difference between oops, we overlooked something and a cover up is that when you've got pointed out, oh, this has been overlooked, somebody says, oh, that's not important. It's the communications having to do with the research are more important than the research itself. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking at email trains and
Mhm.
conference notes and those sorts of things rather than the actual content of the research because I'm not going to be able to understand
Well,
any of that anyway.
I was just thinking like you could also potentially be in kind of the same way that you did when you found the worm. You could kind of be trying to look at the shape of what's missing, right?
Right, right. Exactly, exactly.
Um, uh,
Looking for patterns, looking
yeah,
for gaps that are, a momentary gap is one thing, but a systematic one
sure.
and so yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for.
Okay.
Now going to kind of look at this from meta perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing John expecting for there to be an objective truth that he is searching for,
Mm-hmm.
which is not real compatible with the way the game system.
Well, yeah. So I think that
So
I think what we already have is evidence of sabotage, both
sabotage,
physical and through software, right? So
right?
we kind of know already that someone is doing that, right?
What I want to see
Yeah.
is if does that sabotage extend to the research that's going on trying to close
Right,
the rift?
right, right. So it's more about trying to understand like the motive, like what
Yeah,
is the saboteur trying to do?
yeah, and I'm looking for like confirmation that my suspicion that this whole project is being artificially extended.
Mm. Okay.
uh, You know,
Um.
Oh, I
so
see where you're going with.
yeah.
You're looking to see that they're kind of slow walking this whole closing the rift just to get more information and data.
well to get I mean there's all
Or
kinds of stuff they're learning about clones and these monsters and
yeah,
magic and spiritual. I mean
Mhm.
there's all kinds of really crazy stuff they're learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they close the rift, well, okay, that's done.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they could start working with what they've got. But it would not be the first you know scientist to say, well, let's not cure the patient quite yet. Let's see what happens if we do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened many times in the past.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
um,
Well, how about this? What I'm going to offer you here is an opportunity to use the power through darkness move, which, as we've discussed before, it kind of expects more of your powers, but also is kind of a higher stakes move.
okay,
So,
okay,
this is, and especially since they have been trying to find this stuff, right? And so you've already looked through the stuff too, and you found the worm, but you're trying to get to a much bigger conclusion than what you've already found when you already looked through the system, right? So that's why I'm just kind of, I'm saying it's a little bit of a higher ask, which is not to say you can't do it. It just means that's why we're doing this move instead of the other one.
right, okay, All right. So I I I can't afford a condition here.
Oh,
So
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
I'm not going to spend my usual 2 darkness tokens, which is what I do when I'm
mm-hmm.
going for the best odds.
Okay.
I'm just going to spend 1, um, and hope that I don't roll a 10 or higher,
Big bucks, no whammies.
um, and see what
Yeah, bonds.
I do have
Oh,
bonds.
look at that. There's a 7
I
on
think you're gonna need to
which
use a
would be a
bond here.
miss.
Yep, and I will use a bond.
Okay.
And I will use my bond with what's the darkness demands.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, uh, that's that's uh, and I'm like remembering times when I've done that. In other words, I've not quite done my job quite as well as I would like in order to serve some other purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So that spending that bond of what the darkness demands is me remembering when I, I was there to reap a soul that um had been avoiding his time, but I just, once it became clear that he was going, just let him suffer a while longer before actually doing it, which is
Mm-hmm.
not technically speaking the way I should be doing my job.
All right. Well, so because of your ability to empathize with that mindset, you use your powers with great precision and effect, changing the situation before you. Um, Additionally, Keeper may offer you reprieve, a golden opportunity, or a bond with someone. Um, I am going to give you. It's kind of both a golden opportunity. Well, it's. I think what it is you're going to get a bond
Okay.
with Kaya
Okay.
because here's how I'm
Is
dividing
this
by
like
0 in the way this mystery works.
Kaya number 22, or
Well,
is it
no,
the Kayas as a group?
Kaya.
Okay.
But here's I think what changes the situation, but
Okay.
doesn't necessarily answer the mystery you're solving, right? Like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that you discover this pattern of just seeing the code
Mm-hmm.
of how this worm works and what it's deleted and all of these different little individual pieces. You just start seeing what you realize is, wait a minute, 26 of these usernames are technically all the same person.
Okay.
And so what that means to you is that you think that Kaya is slowing down the research into closing the rift.
Okay.
You don't know why. So
Right.
is it definitely connected to the door of the power? Maybe, maybe not. But you do
Does
believe that there is evidence in the system that she has been slow walking the research, that ostensibly she's the primary researcher on.
Right. 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 Is that a key?
I think I think no, it's not a key
Okay.
because it is context.
It's context. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Because you don't know, like it's possible that it's related to the mystery. Like, is she doing that because of the door of power, or is she doing that for some other reason?
Right.
What you
Okay.
see in the
Yeah.
software doesn't tell you that. What you know,
Okay.
though, is the 26 different copies of Kaya that constitute a significant percentage of the facilities research department
Yeah.
have been apparently, so here's the other thing you don't know. Multiple logins for the different Kaya copies
Mhm.
were all involved. But does that mean it was all of those different copies? You don't know that either. It
Right.
could have been just one of
Okay.
them covering their tracks by trying to log in as different copies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Okay.
might think would be easy for Kaya 7 to guess Kaya 8's password.
Right. Yeah. Hmm. Yes. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
All right.
So, with that revelation in place,
And I'm not actually going to reveal that I know that to any of the Kayas. I am again using my cold reason and logic. But I'm also not going to tell. Oh, everything looks clean.
mm-hmm.
I'm going to basically. All right. Well, I'm done with this, and now on to the next thing. And
Well, you just helped get the systems back on, and now
Yep.
they're dealing with a lot of strange
Right,
data
so
that they're trying to process.
easy for me to slip
the
out on
Kayas
that,
are
yeah.
actually all pretty busy right now,
Right.
anyway.
Right. So.
All right. So, in the meantime, did everyone kind of finish with Natasha and move on to the other pilots, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially when the emergency came up, I think I looked at Pandorum
Yeah.
and Lady Dana says we should go to where the pilots are congregating and start to talk to them before whatever comes through the rift comes through the rift. Agreed?
Yes.
All right.
Lady Dana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that you also are kind of what you're hearing sort of through the maybe Natasha tells you this as she's kind of guiding you to the ready room where the pilots would be, is saying this is kind of strange because usually what we see is we see this kind of rift behavior and interference preceding a monster coming out, and then sometimes the longer it lasts, the bigger the monster is. I don't think it's ever lasted this long before.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
Is there a possibility of a double event?
She's like, I don't know.
I
There
was
are all
seriously
sorts
asking
of
as well as
things-
making the reference.
Yeah, all sorts of things have happened today that never happened before.
Well, let's use our time wisely then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. So the three pilots that you've got here are Catalina Lee, Malika Connor, and Asterio Romano. Who is talking to who?
No offense, Pandora. I don't know if you want to talk to Malika again.
Okay.
I think that might
I'll
go.
talk to Malachi because she's the one. I'm the one she hasn't been pissed off at.
I mean, she hasn't encountered Ningle, but
No,
Oh
Nigel
wait,
wasn't there.
it was Marin. It
Myron.
was Marin.
Yeah.
It was
Myrin.
Mirren. It was Mirren and Pandora.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'll let you two pick.
Unless we want to do 3-on-1 every time, although that might be feel like we're
Nah.
ganging up on the pilots.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
You one-on-one.
1-on-1.
Maybe-
Okay.
Lady Dana, you want to do Malika?
Sure.
All right. And then
Ah.
there's.
I'll do
Let's just.
Catalina.
Okay, so I'll take a stereo then.
All right. So let's go ahead then and start with Lady Dana and Malika. So.
Okay.
You come into the ready room, which looks a bit kind of like it has a locker room vibe, even though there's not rows and rows of lockers because there's kind of a
Mhm.
limited number of individuals here, but they each have kind of their own sort of like preparation station, and it has kind of that locker room vibe to it. They're each not really talking to each other right now. They each seem to be kind of, they've changed into their sort of combat suits, what they wear in the pods, and are sort of focused. But as they come in, Natasha just says, "All right, pilots, I'm sure you've been briefed that we have agents from Division, our sister organization here, and they're helping to look for Luna and figure out what happened to her. So I want you to give them your full attention. They're going to be interviewing you one-on-one, and I want you to be honest and forthright with them. Malika, I know that you had some issues with them before. I would encourage you to think of this as the best way to find Luna. And Malika gives kind of a scowl, but otherwise, there are small, adjoining rooms that you can each go into for your various. Yeah. So Malika, as has been shown on the artwork here, is a red-haired young woman who uses a wheelchair, but she looks very strong and athletic regardless. And she continues to scowl. She goes into the room and she's got her arms folded and she's looking at you and just says, "So, like, how are you going to find Luna when they haven't been able to find her already?"
Well, the snake one was able to find some traces of Luna through her sister, but they're still trying to figure out what that all is about.
Well, yeah, like I'd like to know what that's all about too. Selena is weird. Like she's Luna's sister and yet she's here, but she's not a pilot. She's just doing her weird, I don't know, psychic mumbo jumbo stuff. I mean, I guess it's an important part of the whole whatever, but like she's just being a weirdo creep over in her little room instead of hanging out with the rest of us. Like if you ask me, she's the weirdo.
Not everyone here is is a pilot.
Well,
do you think all of the staff are weird?
Well, no, but like it's one thing for someone to say, "Yes, my job is I use a wrench on this machine to make it run good." It's another thing to be someone who is literally the twin of someone who is going out there and putting their life on the line every day and say, "No, I would rather sit on a cushion and pray real hard."
You do realize that the whole psychic thing aspect of your work needs to be covered as well. There needs to be support on that level. So you're not into the whole psychic thing, I guess.
Listen, I know that I guess there's part of that ties into how I connect with my with Garnet Cyclone. I get that part of it. But what I know is that when I get in that pod, I go out there and I am actually fighting these monsters and taking them down and protecting the world. And if Selena is also helping to protect the world, she's not very good at explaining how. Mostly what she does is act like a weirdo. Like she doesn't hang out with us. She doesn't, she talks like she's the most important person in the base. And it's her sister that's missing, so why isn't she more upset about it, huh?
So, the living room with Rob.
Let's see. This is me trying to figure out what I'm going to say next.
Okay.
So who do you think's the most important person in the base then?
Well, I mean, look, I know it's a team thing, but it's a team that supports the pilots.
And with the psychic stuff, she's supporting the pilots. Then why do you have such a problem with her?
What, are you in love with her? Why are you so defending her? I'm the one that knows her.
Well, you just seem to be very focused on her.
I know her. You just got here. Try sitting across the lunch table from her a couple of times and tell me she isn't a weirdo.
Okay, I deliberately move my hair up and around and then settle back down. It's like, I'm kind of used to the whole weirdo thing.
Well, okay, look, okay, listen. I remember what Natasha said. I know that you're here trying to find Luna, and I'm not trying to be a dick about this whole thing. But I don't know
Did
why
any
you're the one that's like focused all on Selena about this. Look, Luna was my
all right,
friend. I didn't get along with Selena.
did anyone not get along with Luna?
I mean, Luna was cool. Like, I,
Did anyone think she wasn't?
well, they better not have said so to me.
Okay. Um,
Luna was my best friend, and I am pissed at whatever happened here. So, like, I feel like what I know how to do is go punch giant monsters, and right now it feels like that's not gonna find Luna, and so I'm a little bit pissed.
just pissed at the situation in general.
Yeah, like we have this whole big base, we got all these scientists, we got the fancy psychics and everything, and yet where's Luna? It's not even like, oh no, we lost her, she's there. Oh no, this happened to her. Everyone's just like, duh, I don't know. So I guess that's why you're here, and yet you're coming in here and asking me about like look, if
All right,
I can help you, then I'll help you. But like, tell me what?
take a deep breath.
You're the one that's upset.
Good projection.
Christiana, how many teenagers have you dealt with in your life? Because you're doing a masterful job.
I mean, the
All right.
Kayas did say she was combative.
Yeah. I let's see. I
Do we want
want
to
to,
cut away to one of the other?
yeah,
interviews?
cut away to someone
Okay.
else for a moment.
Sure. Okay, so let's go over to Ningle, and you were going to be with Asterio. Is
That's
that right?
correct. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, you go in, and Asterio is a young man with big wide eyes. He looks kind of thin and fragile compared to I mean, Malika's in a wheelchair, but she looks like buff, like she works out, whereas
Right.
Asterio is kind of a little scrawny. Got sort of big, sort of floppy, curly hair, and he's kind of in there looking at you with like big wide eyes, like he's a little intimidated by you.
Sit down. I don't bite.
Okay.
We're just trying to get information to help find Luna. And
I mean, good. I don't know how I can help, but whatever.
tell me about your working relationship with her.
Well, I mean, like she's she's the one that everyone's kind of trying to live up to her standard.
Like,
I
do you
mean,
feel like you're living up to that standard?
He gives a look like you have just very casually punched him in his weak spot.
Oh,
And he kind of just says, I'm trying really hard.
there are very few people, and I try to modulate my tone, who can do what you can do.
I mean,
I can't do what you can do.
I guess so. I just like, my problem is just like, if I can't, like every so often, like everything just clicks and it's amazing. And they say that like if I could just do it like that all the time, I would be the best. But like I can't hold it. Like it's there for a fleeting moment, and then it just all like falls apart, and I like barely capable. Like they told me when I went through all the tests that I was like at the minimum allowable range to qualify.
But you
And-
have these moments of brilliance.
Like sometimes, like if I knew how to make it happen all the time, like I would, right? Like I mean, that's what I'm always trying to do it, but just like sometimes I just Apostle Solar and I would just like like we just sort of we find it together and we can just do amazing things, and it's so great. But then it just I do something wrong, or like, or the energy's weird or something, and it just kind of all goes to pieces, and I'm just like constantly playing catch up with everybody else. And God, why am I even telling you this? Like this doesn't have anything to. So like Luna though, she's the one that's like always had it together. So it's kind of like, if this could happen to her, then who knows if it could happen to the rest of us.
And then I give a solemn nod at his words. If someone did this to Luna, they did that without intention to shake the rest of you. Take away the strongest, and the rest of the cards may fall. But you need to reach for that strength as best you can. I once made a huge mistake. I gestured to my serpent body, and I've paid the price for 3,000 years. So mistakes happen, but I have tried to make my way better ever since. Mistakes happen. It's what you do after that mistake, how you build yourself back after your mistakes.
But it's so important, because these monsters, they're so big and scary, and like if we can't keep them from coming out of the rift, like if we fail because Luna's not here, like these monsters could like destroy whole cities. Who knows how many people would die if we can't stop them. And like I it's just I feel like I feel like what I'm doing is so important, and yet I'm not okay. Like, I need to stop. Natasha says I need to stop with like trash talking my own stuff, but
your
it's
own
just
self.
it's like I just sort of, it's like, but I feel like I'm so close. Like, if I could just make it when it's good, if I could just do it like that all the time, and I don't know how.
I just let the silence go there for a moment. Let him catch his breath. Let his heart start to slow down. I don't know how you find that, but I have the utmost confidence that you will find your path. We all find a path in the end. It is difficult while you are stuck in an endless Stygian darkness where you can't see where you're going, where you've been, or what's ahead of you. But in the end, you have to go forward, because there are, in the end, no other choices.
Are you
It
doing
is hard. Yeah.
Are you doing a share your heart myth?
Yeah, I'm doing to share
Yeah.
my heart. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I am. I am actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reveal your heart, I guess. Actually.
Reveal my heart. Yeah.
Mhm.
Reveal my heart. Where's my reveal? Yeah. Basic, reveal your heart. Okay, so reveal your heart and try to sincerely connect to someone. Spend darkness host as well. I'm not going to do much darkness here. I'm just going to put one dark token, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Disaster
Oh.
success. Okay. Yeah. So,
Senpai!
well, but that's an 11. So if you have a bond you could spend, you could make that an 8 to 10.
Yeah, I got bonds to spend. I'm gonna spend my bond with Pandorum, because I've recently had lots of hearts with him, and thinking about that and thinking about how I connected with him might keep me from going over and oversharing that weakness.
Okay.
So I'm gonna knock that. Yeah, I'm gonna knock that bond down. Knock
Alright.
that down to a 10.
Sure. So that means you can choose one of the success options.
I'm going to take clear condition, because I was
Okay.
obsessed. But even in talking with him, I'm kind of easing my own heart here. So I'm no longer obsessed. As talking this out with him is almost like mutual therapy here.
Yeah.
I'm kind to realize, yes, we just have to go forward, but you just can't be reckless
Mhm.
about it and obsessed about it.
Right. And so they're a PC, so they're not they don't follow exactly the same rules, but they're gonna I think that you're reassuring them
Mhm.
successfully.
Okay.
They're just like, wow, I guess you do kind of understand, huh?
I was a teenager once. I
Yeah.
understand. Back when cities were made of stone and weapons were made of bronze. I fought monsters. Wasn't as easy. You have a lot more help than I did.
Well, he kind of is like still pretty hard.
Oh, it
I
is
mean, they're
hard.
big. Have you
It-
seen
it-
them? Yeah.
yes, I have. Yes,
Yeah.
it's hard, but you at least have a partner.
So let's go ahead and cut over to Pandorum with Catalina. So Catalina, I think you had known this, like you had been briefed on this when the with the original dossiers, but Catalina actually uses all pronouns, meaning any pronoun is kind of fine. They kind of vary with whatever you feel like using at the moment, but um, so they have long white hair reaching past her waist, dark skin, but also um, speaks in a combination of sign language and psychic visuals. They don't speak verbally, but they're sitting uh, kind of awkwardly, like not impatient, but just like they don't know what this is supposed to be. So they're just sitting there looking at you, just kind of like shrugging.
Hello, Catalina. My name is Pandora. I am myself and my companions are here to help find Luna and solve the mystery of what is going on with her and her Halima. Is there any changes that you've noticed with uh, Luna in recent times before she disappeared?
Quick question here. Do we want to? How do we want to assume like so? We could either have her have like Natasha in there to do the sign language translation, or she could maybe have a notepad. What do you think Pandorum would want?
I, I like the idea of there being like a essentially like a something that will observe her language and interpret it.
Okay,
As,
like
So
there's like
yeah,
interpreter.
a little machine to do
yeah,
it. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I think um, uh, so what was the question you just asked?
Have you noticed
Right.
anything unusual with Luna recently?
Uh, Luna was nervous. She signs, and then um, you see a just sort of a brief image of like a like sort of an observation lounge that has a big display that you know it's not really a window, but it's kind of designed to look like a window that goes out over the island, even though technically you're all underground. Um, but she's kind of standing there looking out of it like it's a window. Luna is that is, and um, there's a moment where Catalina goes up and touches her on the shoulder, and she jumps, kind of reacting with fright before kind of getting her calm demeanor again.
Did you ever speak with her about what she was nervous about?
Um, you get an image that almost immediately follows that last one of Luna walking away quickly.
Is there any particular event, combat that happened before that seemed to have caused this?
Uh, Last sortie was tough fight. She signs.
Oh, what happened? What did you fight?
I think you get a mental image that is it's like it's a moment. It's so brief that you don't even really have the ability to fully process everything that you're seeing, but it is just a gigantic, horrifying, like there's claws and beaks and eyes and horrifying alien biology, and you can see it grappling with Luna's Hydra Omicron creature. And with you can see and you see it sort of briefly from a perspective of like a creature is running towards this fight. And then it says, "Thought we lost her." Only to lose her later.
Is there anyone else in this facility that you've noticed acting strange or being, being suspicious or doing things you just don't understand outside of their normal?
Hmm. Um, I think I'm trying to think what their answer would be for that. Um, I think they say you see them, you get an image of them sitting alone at a lunch table, and then signing, "I don't get along with the other pilots. I like Commander Payne. I don't know anyone who would hurt the team."
Why don't you get along with other pilots?
Just a shrug.
Hmm. I imagine communicating is not near as easy for you as it is for most people.
She kind of gives you a little smirk, and then signs is fine for me, hard for them.
Yeah, but, sometimes if they can't understand you, they don't want to pay attention to you.
And she just kind of shrugs again. I think the body language they're giving you is kind of that, like it's not even sort of like, this is sensitive, I don't want to talk about it. It's more just like, you get the impression, I think, that they don't necessarily mind that they don't get along with the other pilots. It's kind of like, they leave me alone, I leave them alone, it's fine. That's kind of the demeanor you're getting.
Okay.
All right. Do we want to? Well,
So let's
I'm just
move on to the next.
yeah. So I think too that we don't necessarily need to continue these scenes beyond what feels
Yeah.
appropriate. So I guess for each of the three of you, is there any more that you were wanting to try to ask or get from these interviews?
Not that I can think of. It's
Really?
like
Yeah.
we've definitely gotten an idea of like
Mhm.
just like everyone's
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to encourage you to talk with everybody, so because there, like I said in the last mystery, we ended up with, there was a couple of the notable NPCs that you just never even went to talk to.
Yeah,
Yeah, we kind of
which
Yeah.
is which
Wonderful.
is okay. Obviously, it worked out fine, but it limits the options when you're trying to figure out like who might have done it or had something to do with anything, But yeah, so I think we can imagine that, unless anyone has anything that you wanted to finish up or still ask, then we can imagine that you sort of let the pilots continue getting ready. The atmosphere is tense because again, the closest analog to this sort of energy readings that they have is when you're waiting for something to go ahead and come out of the rift, but it still hasn't. But it also hasn't calmed back down. So
Yeah.
everyone's a little worried what that might mean. But so, do we imagine that you might reconvene?
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe we should go find John Deere
Mm.
and see what he's been up to.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's like, hmm. I'm going to, since I have this back door in their systems, I can create, or I'm gonna try and pick a place where we can talk more privately. And you guys definitely need to have here. And I'm going to dial up a bunch of small devices, hand them out. All right. Now we've got a secure way to communicate.
I was half expecting a cone of silence.
And let's just test these out. And I'm going to type in on my tablet that that my suspicions that the research into closing the rift being slow walked have been confirmed. And I think that the troubles that we're seeing here are a result of that, and that complicates things. And so now that we've tested our devices, I don't think that I think we need to keep our attention focused on what we're actually here for. And that is to prevent the door of power from being opened. So if we are focused too much on Luna's disappearance, we might lose sight of that.
You think those things
They
are
can very well,
distinct?
they could very, very easily be related. But, and certainly we should be investigating any anomalies that are happening. But let's keep in mind that what our true purpose is here. Solving the mystery of what happened to Luna would be great, but if it comes at the cost of the door of power to be opened, then we've failed.
Right.
So, what did you learn from talking to the kids? Do we want to grasp keys and see if they can
Yeah, let's
conclude something from that?
grasp
Mhm.
the keys.
All right.
One of you should lead that.
Yeah, I'll lead it.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay. Now grasp keys. And I don't have any darkest tokens left, but because I calmed down. So
Well, I
okay.
mean, it is a fairly simple matter to
oof.
Well,
use one of your gains.
we went ahead and rolled though, so
Yeah.
that's a 5, which is a miss.
Okay. Do you have any bonds with me, Lady Dana?
Yes.
You would need
I've
3
got- I've-
bonds
Well,
to
I-
yes,
I
yes, but I
actually
have.
have bonds.
Well, oh, do you have a bond
I
with
mean,
me?
you can spend 3 bonds if you want.
No. But I have.
Let me check.
Yeah, if you have a
Let-
bond
let-
with me, then we can do this.
Remember too, though, that a miss for grasp keys. You find more than you were ready for. You may choose to mark ruin to uncover a key, but in doing so, a keeper will reveal how you come closer to becoming a harbinger.
Actually, I'm all right on my ruin right now, so I will go ahead and
Accept that.
accept the ruin to
Okay.
Okay.
get the key.
Yeah, let's see. I think that um let's see. I think that the two of you with your discussion of Malika and talking about her suspicion and skepticism of Selena connects with some of what uh, John Deere had found in the system, and kind of gives you, John, an epiphany over how to interpret another piece of let me see. I'm trying to think how this would get revealed. Um,
I mean, feel free to have John, pushing out some of this data that he's
oh, okay.
discovered
Now,
to give it
how about
context.
this? How about this? I think this didn't come up in our individual interview scenes that we did.
Mhm.
But what I'm going to suggest is that as you are reconvening, what you realize is that each of these three active pilots say that they were the only other pilot that went on Luna's last full mission.
Oh,
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
okay.
whoa.
So Malika, Asterio, and
They all they all think they were the one.
yeah, they all think that they were the only other pilot that was on that particular mission.
Oh boy.
And so the key technically here is evidence of false memories,
Oh,
Okay.
which you had some
Yeah.
bits and
Yeah,
pieces
we,
of, but yeah, this is making it a
this is,
key now.
yeah.
And yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I've moved things so that they're intended differently so that we can see what's each
Yeah,
key
just
kind of
how
its own
many it
thing.
is. So this is
Yep.
key number 7, which on a difficulty 8 mystery. So you would still be rolling a -1 if you were to do Unlock Doom's Door now, which
Yeah.
is it's a little early. You would be statistically more likely to get a miss, but
Right.
as we've
Yeah.
mentioned previously, having a +2 is like statistically the most likely to get you the results you want, but you could theoretically do it at any time.
yeah. I definitely want to do more looking.
Well, here's the thing also, statistically speaking, even if a failure ticks the clock,
We're at
having more than one attempt
Mm-hmm.
is even better odds. So we shouldn't be too afraid to give it
Yeah.
a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
Early on.
I kind of mentioned it specifically just because with what John uncovered about Kaya, certainly Kaya seems like she's the one that could be in a position to do a lot of these
Yeah.
other things. You don't necessarily understand all the who, what, why, how,
Yeah.
but she's in a position where she could
I'm not
accomplish a lot of things.
yeah. I'm not against going and looking for more keys, but
Mhm.
I basically I want to have at least, I want to have even, like a
Mhm.
0
Mhm.
at least.
Yeah.
let's at least get
Let's
even.
at least get one more
Mhm.
key out of this before we
Yeah.
start
Okay.
trying things.
Cool.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
huh.
So you've kind of talked to everybody. You've kind of reconvened. Like I didn't mean to interrupt in terms of, but
Yeah.
yeah, you did the grasp keys, and so you
Mhm.
have now from these individual interviews evidence that at least with the pilots, they don't necessarily all remember the same events properly. Like
Right.
the 3 stories you heard, they can't all be true, and yet
kind of
you don't think any of them were lying about it.
No, but I kind of want to talk with Natasha now. What does she remember?
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah.
That would be a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not the most subtle person ever. But subtlety might be required here because we may not want to tip our hand that we know there's false memories flying
Mhm.
around. Not only because A, she might be in on it, or B, she might react badly. But what was it? What was the name of that detective that wore the trench coat?
Lumbo.
Yeah, so like we could do like a one more thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
who was the pilot that who went with Luna on her
You know
last
what?
mission?
I'm actually gonna go and check the computer, like duty rosters and after
Yep.
action reports and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and see what the system says was
What
the
does the
last
system say?
person
Mm-hmm.
to go on that mission with Luna.
I think the system says all 4 pilots were on the mission.
Okay, okay. And let's not forget we have this mysterious erased pilot.
Right.
Oh,
I think that bears some more investigation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recall trying to initiate an investigation to try to find people who were in Mysterious during the time when this person might have been here but are no longer at the facility, to see if their memories were tampered with as well.
That's
Well,
something
so
you,
right.
what?
Did that ever?
What?
Did we ever get that? No.
I think there was some discussion about that, but I don't think we explored anything because we were in the middle of something else at that time.
Yeah.
But what I'll also kind of offer as sort of a significant location we haven't really visited yet
Mhm.
is the treatment ward that has it is a place where former pilots struggling with their mutations and retired Halima are cared for in that
Oh, we
place.
have not gone there at all. You're right.
yeah, that's definitely a place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, um, uh, yeah, it's a helpful little sign that they don't have created like a bunch of characters to be there already. But
Yeah.
certainly it's a location that you could be. I'll go ahead and say right now that um, there are 3 retired pilots and 2 retired Halima currently here. Also, one thing that I think that would have come up at some point that we haven't really talked about is another big part of the power of the facility. You learned. Let's say John Deere figured this out going through the system, that it's not a secret so much as just nobody brought it up.
Mhm.
One of the biggest sources of power for the facility is the heart of Fletcher Payne's Halima, the only part of the Halima that was left after it sacrificed itself in a big fight.
Well, that's dark.
Ooh.
So the heart was literally the only piece left, and yet it continues beating. And it has kind of been harnessed now as an energy source.
One thing I actually just thought, was like the creature that yelled to tear open the rift. What happened to that creature?
I think the official source, the official report says that when the scream happened, it was such a like no sensors could record it, and that the rift was in the place where the monster was afterwards. So the presumption is that the monster sort of created and then disappeared into the rift, like maybe it was escaping that way or something, but otherwise, like, it wasn't ever seen again.
Okay.
What I'm actually going to suggest here, because the treatment ward seems like a fruitful place to go visit, but because I don't have any pre-written like characters to be there, what I'm going to offer here is that perhaps we go ahead and end tonight's session here, and we can return to the treatment ward next time. But if everyone is amenable to that, then
Yeah.
perhaps we should go through everybody's end of session
Yeah.
questions.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Do that.
Who would like to go first?
Did you go too far in search of the truth? I absolutely did. I pushed my powers to their limits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, um, did I express your monstrous nature and or express your humanity? I think that one's questionable.
Yeah. I mean, it's up to you to make the call. I can't think of a specific moment that's obviously that.
But did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin? And I think that was there in the not quite as loyal to death as perhaps I've made myself out to be. Did I learn something
I was going to
significant
say, you
about
got feedback from your boss about, like, I
Yeah.
know you don't like these, but.
yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you know something, when I made this art, that was not on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely not on my mind, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Learned something significant about a fellow monster. I didn't really talk to my fellow monsters not much this time,
Mm-hmm.
but I did uncover a key, so no ruin.
All right. Great.
I'll go next. Okay, did I learn something significant about my prophecy? No. Did I express my monstrous nature? Yes, when I threw Lady Dana
Mm-hmm.
and then pulled her out of her thing. So yes for that. Did I learn something about myself, my pending ruin? I mean, I had a heart to heart with
Yeah,
with the
Asteria.
pilot. So yep. So
Mhm.
there's two. Did I learn something else about a monster? Yes, Lady Dana can get scary when she really feeds. So I think that one as well. Did I cover a key? No. So I mark a ruin. So I get 3 XP and 1 ruin out of the
All
deal.
right.
Well, I'm almost ready for a ruin move. Again. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Did you compromise the beliefs and traditions of your people for the sake of someone else? I'm gonna say no, because yeah, I'm, I dipped into the knowledge I had in the past
Mhm.
from the past, but I mean, just kind of move, use it to help with the future, which seems about right.
Mhm.
And then, did you express your monstrous nature and or express your humanity? I don't think I really did a significant amount of either way in this one, because
Yeah. I mean, you had kind of what amounts to a normal conversation with one of the pilots, but up to you to answer the
I'm
question.
gonna say no on that
Yeah,
one.
okay.
Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin? Uh, no. Did yeah.
Okay.
Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster? Yeah, I don't think I really did much for that either.
Hmm.
Did you uncover at least a key of the apocalypse? Yes.
All right.
No movement either way.
Great. Also, like, Paul, did we get the Ningle? What was it, Ningle's impulse this time?
Yeah, I did. I did that first. Significant about my prophecy.
Oh, right,
Oh,
right,
okay,
right,
did
right.
not, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just in hindsight thinking like we probably could have had that come up during the interview, but anyway, that's all right.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I was kind of pushing towards that, but then we drew away. But that's fine.
No worries, no worries. Okay.
We good.
All right. So, Lady Dana.
Let's see. Did I offer kindness to another kindness out of grace cause myself? I didn't try to kill Ningle.
Yeah, I mean, choosing to de-escalate and
Yeah,
say, okay, all right, yeah, like that.
Yep.
I think that counts. Yeah.
Did I learn something significant about myself or my impending ruin? Um, I I definitely think that
We almost did, but then you spent a bond.
no, I took the ruin to
Oh, you're right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, I took the ruin
I think.
instead. So
Oh, that's right. So let me remind. Let's see. So when was that? Did we establish what your what the
no, we actually we hadn't gotten to that part.
so what we decided that the evidence of the false memories was the key.
Key, yep, but we didn't know.
Right, but how does that connect to, like, why would you have had to mark ruin? I think. I think that in recognizing the possibility of false memories, and you've thought about memory loss before related to the parasitic library, I think
Yeah,
the thought occurs to you that you maybe do know how to eat memories. Like you had never really thought about doing it before,
but maybe
but you
I
kind
can.
of feel like if you were gonna try, you sort of feel like you know how you would try.
Right. Okay.
And now that that idea has occurred to you, it's kind of like you
Hey.
didn't really think you were hungry until someone talked about, oh, I had the greatest ice cream sundae the other day. And then all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
like, oh, God, now I want ice
Yeah.
cream. It's like, and so, like, wait,
You're right.
parasitic library ate memories, so obviously it's possible.
This
Hmm.
is yeah. And I know Myron also feeds on memories.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, we know
yep.
that.
All right. Did I learn something significant about a fellow monster? Actually, so there had been this thing with Ningle about whether or not he and I could take each other on
Hmm.
as a disc is, and yeah, I've definitely gotten some more information about that potential
Matchup.
boss fight.
I mean, he sucker punched you while you were eating, but yeah.
Well, yeah, the fact that he's willing to do that
Oh, yeah,
and
fair.
risk me trying to eat him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went
And
there.
then yep, yes, on uncovering a key.
Yeah. All right. Great. So thanks everybody, and we will have to find out what awaits the monsters of Division in the Island Zero treatment ward. Is Kaya's sabotage of the research tied to the Door of Power? Will we find out what became of Luna and Hydra Omicron? We will have to wait until next week to find out when we return for more Apocalypse Keys on so many levels.
So many
Oh,
Many
levels.
levels.
Level.
levels.